Allow me to take you back a few years. It was June 29th, and it was 2012. Now that's over 10 years ago. That's what, 13, 14, 15 years ago? Well, that's about that number of years. It was 2012. It was a June date, 29th. I was working at a radio station, WGL, doing the afternoon shift at that time, working from 3 to 6. And it was late in the afternoon. I happened to be outside the studio, walked out in the hallway, and the door to the building, the side door to the building was open, and some of the ladies on the staff were standing outside, and they were smoking cigarettes. Sorry, that's what they were doing. So I wandered outside, stood there with them, and chatting with them while they were puffing on their tobacco. And then suddenly, this big wind, and I've never heard or seen a wind like this, came up, and it was something like I had never experienced. Suddenly, the ladies all ran inside the door into the building, and I'm trying to pull the door closed. It took everything I had to pull that door closed because the wind was blowing that badly. Turns out later on, we found out that wind had reached 90 miles an hour, called a derecho. I didn't know what that was. Well, back in that time frame, we were working with a fellow by the name of Greg Schauf he was my weather guy. So Greg and I started talking on the air about what had happened. And he said, hey, we just had a derecho come through. Well, I'm going, a derecho? Heck, I didn't even know what that was. Well, folks, derecho season is now upon us in June. We are in June. The last one we had was in 2012, and Indiana averages 1 or 2 derechos every single year. Every year. So what's a derecho? All right, well, simple. It's a wind. It's a windstorm that's associated with the rapidly moving showers or thunderstorms. So essentially, it's like a baby, almost like a tornado. It's flatline wind, but it's waves, and they hit, and it blows. Well, back in 2012, it did a lot of damage to Fort Wayne, brought down trees and branches, roads were clogged, you couldn't get anywhere. It was a mess. They said at the airport the wind was 90 miles an hour. That's like, what, Cat 2 hurricane? This hurricane started at 75. We were at 90 miles an hour at our studio, like something I'd never seen. But yes, the damage was horrific in the city of Fort Wayne. And this derecho was 240 miles long and 60 miles wide. And it went from Indiana all the way down to Washington. It was just like a tornado crossing the Midwest into the Southeast. And, well, the winds can be pretty strong. And basically, our wind was measured at 90 miles an hour. The winds derechos get over 75 miles an hour. It happens, folks. So the one that happened here in Fort Wayne was June 29th. It was one of the most destructive derechos that ever to hit Indiana. And I remember it because I was in it. And the highest wind gust was 90 miles an hour. 91 miles an hour. I take that back at Fort Wayne International Airport. So the path of destruction was 600 miles long, and it went all the way to Washington, D.C. That's how bad that wind was. Well, the reason I'm telling you all this, because, well, we're in the season for it. Bad weather can happen, not just tornadoes, not just thunderstorms, but things that come out of thunderstorms are these wave lines, these waves of winds and derechos. We see 2 in Indiana usually every year. Will we see another one in Fort Wayne? I don't know. Hope not. But if you remember anything about what happened back in 2012 when that wind hit, that's a derecho, folks. And derecho season is now with us. It lasts through the month of June. And like I said, Indiana gets 1 to 2 of these every single year. Will Fort Wayne see another one in 2025? 13 years ago, we had a bad one. Could we see another one today? Heaven only knows. Let's pray it doesn't happen, because a derecho is like a hurricane. And believe me, it does a lot of damage.